a new series on adventures finally. I was actually waiting until I got a new computer and a new camera to edit, but I decided I'm just going to start now. And this first video is going to be about tips on Japan, or tips on going to Japan, just because there are a couple of things that I wish I knew. I did know, but I wish I had an easier way of finding out, because I found all this out separately because I was preparing for like the whole year. So I thought these tips would be really useful for you guys who's going to, I guess, any country, but mainly Japan. Some of the trips can apply to other countries, but this is specifically for Japan. So the first tip is I would get a Charles Schwab card. And I never heard of this before. I didn't get it myself, but the people that I was going with, two of them actually applied for the Charles Schwab credit card, just because when you don't want to take an abundance of money, like a lot of money when you go there, because you're just holding on to a lot of cash, and that can be quite dangerous. And you don't want to over pull out, because then you have a lot of yen left over, and then you have to spend it over there. I mean, you can convert back, but then you'll just be losing money. So like the most efficient way I found is that you pull out a certain amount for, like, say the first 3 days or something like that. You don't want to take a lot of money out at one time, just because you'll just maybe be uncomfortable carrying a lot of cash over there. So I would budget and figure out how much you want to spend for the first 3 days or something like that, and then use your Charles Schwab to pull out money, because it won't charge you. I had money left over from England, and so pounds was stronger than yen, so then I just used my card or my bank that I had from England. So I just used that instead of my American credit cards, just because I need to get rid of it anyways. But I think the best thing to do is get Charles Schwab, because even though they charge you per transaction, they give it back to you later on. So look that up, because I specifically don't have it, but I know that's what happened with the people that I went with. So I think that's a really important detail, is because you need cash over there. But if you don't want to spend too much, or don't have enough and don't want to get charged extra, I would look up the Charles Schwab card, just also because when you exchange currency in the US or maybe anywhere, you get charged for per transaction of using their business, and then there's an extra amount that they charge just for converting wise. So if you do it all in one time, that's like the biggest money saver. But if you keep doing it, you're gonna keep being charged. So yeah, so you only want to do it one time in the US. You don't want to keep converting, so you should figure that out first. And then when you go over there, you can check daily to see what the rate is, because each day it changes, unless you don't want too much hassle or something like that. But that's technically the best and most efficient way without overspending if you're on the budget.
I was left to my own devices. Many days fell away with nothing to show.
The second most important thing is you need to, if you're planning to go to a lot of cities in one trip or something like that, I would highly recommend getting the JR Rail Pass. It looks like this prior to the real thing. This is something you get in the mail if you did it online, or if you go to an agency. This is not the real one. So you have to get the JR Pass before you go to Japan, because once you're in Japan, you can't get it. This is basically to attract tourism, I think, because it's cheaper, because if you live there, it's so expensive to get from one city to another. So I got this in the mail, I don't know, 3 months. I can't remember how long the interval is, but I ordered mine online, and then this is what I got. And it shows you where you can go depending on your airport or something like that, where you can pick it up. So I think I went to the Narita airport. I can't remember. So I picked it up there, and then you should just figure out if you want, and it lasts for exactly 2 weeks, or however many days you try to get it for. We did it for 2 weeks, because that's how long we were going to be there for. So, yep, so you have to exchange it there. So don't forget this because then you probably screwed. You really need this to exchange. And what it actually end up looking like is one of these cards like this. I'm covering it because it has my passport number and this is the internet. So you just fill out all your information and they just laminate this thing right here for you. And so it looks like that. So this will become your JR pass, and you don't want to lose this because this gets you from city to city, and it works for some inner city stuff. Not all city, but some city does let you use the JR pass for getting on the bus or something like that, or specific lines in Tokyo. So you should really look that up depending on where you're going to be. But this is really useful and it's a big money saver. So remember, you should order this. You can order this online depending on the website. Just look it up, and you can get it mailed, so you don't have to specifically go there. But if you're already working with an agency, might as well just get it through them, right? So, yep, this is really, really, really useful. Don't want to lose this in Japan because some people misplace theirs sometime, and then, yeah. So anyways, this is also another thing for you to use if you're going from city to city, but it's not the specific thing that you will flash sometime. You have to reserve a seat like the day before. You'll probably get more seating if there's a lot of people together, but if you're just by yourself, you probably can just reserve the day of, and the ticket will look like this. So you show this, you go to a different concession stand or just like a different area in the tube or the train or whatever they call it over there. I forgot, it was a year ago, so I can't remember all the specific names. But so you show this and you tell them where you want to go, and then they give you this other ticket, and this is the ticket that you would be using or showing on the train because you need a specific ticket to reserve your seat. It's free, because it's not really free, you paid for it through this, but you don't need to pay extra from going from on the bullet train from, like, let's say Tokyo to Osaka or something like that. So yeah, so you use this to get more of these, but so that's what this is for. So this is really useful. Okay, the third thing is something kind of random. I mean, like, a lot of us didn't speak Japanese because none of us were Japanese, but some of my friends knew some other words. But the funny thing is, like, one of my friends took Japanese course for over a couple of maybe months, a year maybe. I can't remember how long she took it, but my other friend watched a lot of anime, and he couldn't figure this out either. But the most important thing is, what do you do all the time? You eat a lot, and sometimes they don't always give you your check and they just wait. And the thing is, like, something that we always have trouble with and really wanted to communicate is check please, or can we get our check? So I think the most important one next to thank you and hello is check, or getting your check. I don't know what it is anymore. Like, we had different words, and some people didn't know it, and some people did. In Japan, some Japanese people knew what we're saying, and some people didn't. And we asked, how do you say it? And they've been using that word, and other restaurants didn't know. So I highly recommend figuring out what check please is over there, because you're going to be eating a lot of bills unless you want to get stuck there for a really long time. So yeah, I think that's a kind of funny thing, because we didn't know what it was.
But if you close your eyes.
The fourth thing is, you need to get a different, so let's say for Tokyo, they have a lot of different kind of lines. I don't have the map with me right now, but they have a lot of different kind of lines, and if you live in San Francisco, you know that from one city to another city, it costs a different amount just because it's a different distance. So that's the same thing with the trains over there in Tokyo. So some lines you can use your JR pass for. I think it's 2 different color lines that you can use your pass for. But for the rest of the line, you can't use your JR pass. So you need to figure out, like, where you want to go and then put that amount in. And then you get the little ticket thing, which I don't have here either. I'll probably show you in the next slide or something like that. But yeah, so this is like this little ticket thing. So that's another thing that we didn't know, and we accidentally bought the wrong, like, ticket. And some of the lines we were able to use our JR pass for, and we didn't know that. So I think that's another thing that is really important to figure out. I think prior, if you can, or if you have a friend or something like that, you can ask them. But that was another thing. So I wish I knew that too, because there was a couple of times where we kept buying the wrong ticket, and then we were in the wrong line, and then you could only buy a certain line in a certain area, like a certain color. So that was
Does it almost feel like nothing changed at all?
okay. And the last thing is, if you want to be spontaneous, you can. But I found out that it was more efficient. Well, in my career, I felt like I was the one that was like, oh, we should go here or there, just because I did a lot of research and stuff like that, and I travel a lot. So what I did specifically is, because I knew I wanted to go to a lot of different kind of city, and I didn't want to have like a day where I didn't know what I was going to do. So I planned out how many days I was going to spend where prior to going. So we had 2 weeks there, and then I figured out what's the two biggest city that I want to spend the most time in, and then what's a city next to it that we should go to. So I plan a year ahead. Like when I book my ticket, I plan right away. But some people don't really like that, and they just like to be spontaneous. But for me and my friends, we wanted to get the most out of, or the person that I was going with wanted to get the most out of the trip. So then we plan ahead and figure out what we should do and stuff like that. So there's two ways you can do that. So I mean, there's so much information on the internet right now. So yeah, just plan out ahead, or if not, be spontaneous and just wander the city and then just go from there. So I hope those 5 tips help you. It would have helped me a lot, especially the Charles Schwab one. I would have gotten a Charles Schwab credit card. It's just I already have 2, and I didn't want another one. And since 2 of my friends were already gonna have one, I didn't want to do that. But if I was the only one going, or if I was with another person, I probably would get that credit card, just because it's a really good credit card if you're going to be traveling more and stuff like that. So look into the Charles Schwab card. And another main thing is the JR pass. You really need to get that before you go. I hope that helped. Subscribe for more. I'm actually going to be starting my series. The first one might be Kamakura, Tokyo, or Osaka, depending on which one I get done first. So it's going to be 10 things, or what things that you can do in those certain cities, and then I'm just going to show you what we did and stuff like that. So I hope this helped. Feel free to put any questions down below. Thumbs up if you want more, and I'll talk to you guys later.
And if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like you've been here before?